Hey everyone, Jamie here from TechnicalCafe.com. Welcome to your 10th Java tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about yet another type of loop in Java, and that is the do-while loop. So if you remember back to our previous tutorial, tutorial 9, where we talked about the while loop, you'll remember that a while loop started off with the reserved word while, followed by a set of parentheses where a condition would be. And you'll also remember that the parenthesis, within the parentheses, the condition is going to be a Boolean condition, meaning that if the condition evaluates to true, the loop's going to continue to run, and if the condition evaluates to false, the loop will terminate. And then following that would be a code block where our code is going to be for the loop. So let's say, for example, with our while loop, we had an integer variable called x, and that's set equal to 1. If we were to say while x is less than or equal to 10, and then, for example, print something to the screen, so let's print out really quickly the value of x, and then add 1 to x so that we can meet this condition here to stop the loop. You'll notice down in our console here that we get the values 1 through 10. Let's say, for example, however, what happens if we set x to be equal to 11, which is 1 greater than 10? So theoretically, the loop shouldn't end up running. Let's take a look at what happens. So in our console here, you'll notice that nothing actually prints to the screen, and that is because the condition within the while loop's parentheses here, or parameter list, evaluated to false because x is equal to 11, which is not less than or equal to 10. So nothing happened. So let's say there's a situation where you actually want something to run just once, regardless of whether or not the condition within here evaluates as true or false. And that's where the do-while loop comes in. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the do-while loop. The do-while loop is very similar to the while loop we just talked about and displayed on the screen here, with the one exception that whatever is written in the body of the loop will run exactly once, regardless of whether or not the condition of the loop evaluates to true or false. So let's go ahead and learn about the syntax of the do-while loop. And it's very similar to the while loop, with just a couple of modifications. So obviously we're going to have a do statement in the do-while loop, and as you'll notice, it lights up purple because it's a reserved word in Java. And the body of the loop is actually going to be within or underneath the do statement. So we're going to have do, and then the body of the loop here, so we'll say body of do while loop. And then underneath this, or to the side of it, wherever you want, we can put the while statement. So we'll say while, and then the condition's going to go here. And unlike with previous loops, what we're going to do is actually terminate the loop here, or terminate the statement with a semicolon. So let's go ahead and overview this. So we have do, and this part, the do basically means to do whatever is in the body of the loop once and exactly once, regardless of whether or not the condition is true. So this is basically like an upside down while loop, with the exception of something is going to be done regardless of whether or not it evaluates as true. So let's take a look and see what happens. So let's create another integer variable called x. We'll set it equal to 1 just like we did before. And within this do while loop, let's say system.out.println. We'll print the value of x just like we did before, and we'll add 1 to it. And this is to satisfy the condition here. So let's go ahead and say do whatever is in the body of the loop while x is less than or equal to 10. And let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So you notice, just like before when we had our regular while loop, we have the values 1 to 10 printed in the console down here. And that's what you would expect to happen. So let's say, for example, just like we did before, what happens if x starts off at 11, which is going to be 1 greater than the condition that the loop will allow, so meaning that this will evaluate to false. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. You'll notice that even though that 11, the value of x, is greater than what the condition allows for, the loop still runs. And this is because it's the do phrase of the loop is what's causing this to happen. So let's say, for example, we set x to 1,000, which is way over the while loop's condition here. The loop is still going to run once and exactly once. And this is what's useful about the do while loop. Say, for example, you had some function where you needed to run it just once. Maybe you're checking for input, or you're reading a file or something, and you want the loop to run once regardless in order to check something maybe. This is where you would go ahead and employ a do while loop. So feel free to play around with that, compare it to the while loop, maybe compare it around with the for loops, see what you can figure out, and please tune in for the next one. Thanks for watching.